Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reacts where today we have ourselves a track from an act named AvertedVision titled Skies Bleed Black. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen here on YouTube with a very ominous looking figure in the background there, and we're going to listen through this track from start to finish and we're going to hear what we think. We're also going to be giving this song an overall score out of 10 based on various musical criteria, but for now, let's go, let's do it. What do we have?
Skies bleed black, the fire rays. Do you fear the end?
Nice transfer into the vocals here.
I will not fall. Can you hear the gears collide? Nothing will be like it was in time. I won't give in, 'cause I'm unbreakable. I've accepted love won't find me. Shattered mind, no peace inside me. Every scar is carved too deep, haunted by the things I keep. Demons whisper when I close my eyes. Every nightmare comes alive. Silence screams inside my head, dancing with the walking dead.
Nice tone fill there as well.
Mama swore I was close at hand. Waited for dawn, but the dark stayed near. Now I stand alone, no savior here. Skies bleed.
The reverse take there, nice.
Do you fear the end of days? I will not fall. I will not fall. Can you hear the gears collide? Nothing will be like it was in time. I won't give in, 'cause I'm unbreakable. Ash beneath my worn out shoes. Walk through flames with nothing to lose. Beaten down till my body bruised, but still I rise, I refuse. Locked inside this cage of bone. Bury pain, but it's never gone. Lost my soul when I was young. Still I fight with the light.
It's just so tight with the palm mutes as well.
No silver lining, still I'm climbing. Heart of iron, undenied, unforgiving, unrelenting. Not a man for sending.
Very used to the Phrygian mode here with this breakdown. Just been used to kind of hypnotic delays on those. A little bit of flare at the end.
The fire rains. Do you fear the end of days? I will not fall. I will not fall. Can you hear the gears collide? Nothing will be like it was in time. I won't give in, 'cause I'm unbreakable.
Sick. Fantastic. I think I understand what this track is about, and we're going to talk about it more in the conclusion. And so welcome to the conclusion of my review of a track from an act named AvertedVision titled Skies Bleed Black. Now, I've given this song an overall score of 7.6 out of 10 based on the musical criteria that's present on the screen there. I feel like it's a solid score, and I'm trying to sort of ignore my bias towards like rock and metal for this, though I did really appreciate a lot of what was on display here. So, what do we think the track's about? I think that the song is about someone who is just sort of like, they've gone through some hardships, they've been struggling to find someone who loves them for who they are, but they're endeavoring to continue to move towards forward regardless of whatever gears are turning, regardless of what is thrown at them as skies go black and the fire ends. You know, regardless of the impending apocalypse, we're just going to keep soldiering on and move forward regardless whether it is a literal or hypothetical apocalypse. You know, we've got lines like locked inside this cage of bone, buried pain, but it's never gone. Lost my soul when I was young, still I fight with a lion's tongue. Yeah, so we're still dangerous, but we're also carrying the burden and doing the best we can to proceed forward with it, not allowing anything to get us down. I feel like there's going to be an audience, there's going to be people that can sort of relate to that message and get behind it, so I feel like in that sense it's effective. So one of the things I think was done well here was the vocals. I feel like there was a lot of range with the different sort of like vocal melodies. They were very distinct per section, whether it was the intro or the verse or the pre-chorus or, you know, like any of the breakdown sections or the interlude parts. I think having key independent melodies as well as sort of varying tails and levels of expression for each, such as the more sort of like subdued sort of like affectations we had with those verse parts with less kind of heavy stuff going on with the guitars. I just feel it's good to know when to sort of be a bit more sort of like vulnerable and a bit softer, and to sort of when to go into our upper range to sort of not only contrast with the rhythm guitars and the elements that come in the heavier parts, but also for a bit more power when we're belting. You know, we've got some interesting legato passages with vibrato on certain bits, we adjust our sort of tails on melodies, but ultimately we know how to keep a compelling melody or sort of a hook line when it's required in those more catchy bits. And the fact that it's mostly us by ourselves for most of the time insinuates that it is a person telling their story as solo, and I think in the context that makes a lot of sense. I think another thing that's done really well is a variety of different guitar riffs. So I think, you know, we've got some interesting sort of like really kind of pretty guitar arpeggios or picked parts with some chorus and reverbs on them at the start there, which I thought added a nice bit of emotional complexity to the piece harmonically. But then we kind of went into the power chorded, kind of distorted guitars. There were some single string skip parts there, which were kind of heavy, whilst also kind of remaining melodic in certain parts, or at the very least allowing the vocalist to remain as like a lead on top without trying to sort of like mess with that too much. It's just nice to contrast between more sort of like complex sort of like tones and interludes and qualities of chords, and then to also know when to sort of just keep things heavy, like such as in the interlude and breakdown sections with the fast sort of alternate pick chugging parts that did go really neatly with the double kicks. I think the lead guitar solo that we had there was fantastic as well, that we had a nice sort of more sort of, it was a slower feel to it. We had some sort of like widdly, shreddly, hammer on and pull off stuff at the end of the solo section, don't get me wrong. There was a lot of technical proficiency there, but it was effectively more sort of like related to maybe singing some of the notes that the vocalist was singing in those chorus sections there, being a similar kind of pairing to that, not sort of completely divorcing ourselves from that. And I liked the tone of it. It was nice contrast to the lower kind of octave or lower pitched sort of rhythm guitar bits in the heavier sections. But yeah, we had a lot of different guitar riffs and different concepts there, and when we needed to, we had alternate leads that were a nice sort of foil for what the vocals were doing. I think if I was going to choose between one thing out of the remaining elements, it would probably honestly be the drums. I think that the drums were fantastic for a few different reasons. The first being that we had different drum kits, such as in one of the verses we had kind of an industrial, kind of like more electronic feeling kit that was a little bit softer than the main kit with the heavier snares, kicks and tom fills, as well as sort of like the louder cymbals. It was nice to have something a bit more kind of like moderate to come after a heavy chorus section or a heavier kind of part, simply to provide dynamic range and contrast within the piece with the intensity of it. We were very comfortable with going with a wide variety of different quarter, eighth, and 16th note elements there. Comfortable having like the quarters accented, but then we would have the double kicks kind of play some really kind of tricky 16th note bits that had a nice sort of rhythmic unison with what was going on again with those rhythm guitars, as I mentioned earlier. It's nice also to know when to not have sort of drums to allow things to sort of float. It was basically the placement of it as well as how tight it was with the actual performance and production and the tempo. It kept the tempo really neatly. In fact, we even had some 16th note hi-hat parts and some halftime parts there where like we just messed around with different grooves as well for a bit of added kind of emphasis and a little bit of spice to it. If you have the same kind of normal time groove to it, it's a little bit monotonous. I mean, going into the solo section as well with the 16th note kind of like rolling between the different snares and toms and the kicks there, it was just a solid entrance into a part where it just kind of goes wide open. You know, you have a lot of beauty in the upper range, there are a lot of color harmonically, so to go from the kind of heavier low end stuff to that is just, again, it's just used to the frequency spectrum, but it's just a really nice easy way to sort of develop and contrast a piece as well. Even in that pre-chorus part, we more had like a tom focused or a syncopated part there behind the vocals without being an absence of drums there. It's just knowing how many drums to add. So I think the highlights for me personally were the vocals, the guitar parts, as well as the drum parts. There was nothing in here that I feel could necessarily needed to be adjusted. I feel overall it's a very well-rounded piece. I think that fans of music within the genre will be able to appreciate a lot of what's going on here, at least musically, and I think the message will resonate. So ultimately, I know, a really positive review, and thank you for watching my video on the song titled Skies Bleed Black from AvertedVision, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via the various social medias and the YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next SB Reacts. Spiderhands out.